Shalum, shalom, and welcome. Welcome, O set apart nation. Welcome to End Time Unity Protocols. This is the 40th installment. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. Let's get started. In this 40th installment, I want to bring your attention to the need to focus as it relates to building blocks of Yahusha versus DNA. My brothers and sisters, since the dawn of the ages, the enemy have always tried and continue to try to make us think that there are some things we can do on our own, that we don't need the Almighty Father's Yahuah's guidance or influence. Let me bring your attention to the following, my brothers and sisters, as we talk about how building blocks of Yahusha versus DNA is important during these end times, as we anticipate a final exodus, as we anticipate the emergence of the 144,000 Hebrews in great multitude, which consists of many nations, kindreds, and tongues that are all made one by Yahushua Mashyach. So let me begin by reading this. Genesis 3rd chapter, verses 1 through 6. And the serpent was more crafty than any beast of the field which Yahuah, the Almighty One, had made. And he said to the woman, is it true that the Almighty One has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we are not to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Almighty One has said, do not eat of it, nor touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, you shall certainly not die. For the Almighty One knows that in the day that you eat of it, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be like the Almighty One, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate, and she gave to her husband with her, and he ate. The wicked one said, you should certainly not die, in verse 4. And she listened to him. And it says here that she ate. She saw that it was good, a good tree to eat. So she ate it. My brothers and sisters, there are many things that the Most High has provided. And the wicked one wants us to think we do not need to lean on him. We can do it ourselves. The book is enough. The text is enough. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, currently, there are many who are curious. There are many questions regarding the emergence of the 144,000 Hebrews, Abarim. Some ignore the great multitude, which consists of many nations, kindreds, and tongues, including Hebrews, that are not directed to a specific tribe as it relates to the 144,000. But altogether, once the 12 tribes, as mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter, have been fulfilled, it will all come to be, everyone will come to be that is set apart by the Almighty Father under the banner of Yasharal. My brothers and sisters, there are many things we must be mindful of. As we approach end times, the building blocks of Yahusha are important. We must know how to focus, how to place our attention and discern on what must be done now and going forward. Let me read the following. Genesis 11th chapter, verses 1 through 9. It says, and all the earth had one language and one speech. And it came to be as they set out from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. This was a time, my brothers and sisters, when man had one speech. Going on to the 3rd verse. I'm in the 11th chapter of Genesis. And they said to each other, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. I put an emphasis on the word, let us build ourselves a city and a tower. My brothers and sisters, building blocks of Yahusha. To this day, there are those who think by discovering DNA that they can build a nation. That they can build a nation by knowing DNA Let me go on to read. I'm in 11th chapter of Genesis, going on to the 5th through the 9th, and I'll complete it. Then Yahuah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahuah said, look, they are one people. They all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they do not understand one another's speech. And Yahuah scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off the building of the city. That is why its name was called Babel, because there Yahuah confused the language of all the earth, and from there Yahuah scattered them over the face of all the earth. My brothers, to this day, DNA is one of the most sought after understanding or knowledge that different ones want to get, so they can say, I'm from the tribe, one of the 12 tribes, so they can identify a tribe. Make no mistake, my brothers and sisters, just as the Most High said, he's going to scatter them because they're not going to just do whatever they want to do. He wants us to listen and discern from him and follow his guidance, not do what we want to do, not thinking if we know DNA that entitles me to be a part of the ranks of the Hebrews. Are we not aware that there are some Hebrews who are not part of the family of set-apart Yasharal? Yes, race is important, even though individuals will probably say it's not and try to use scriptures out of context to tell you differently. Race is important. The diversity that the Most High created, we must not ignore. But it doesn't stop there. It does not stop there at all, O Yasharal. We must be mindful that it's in being born again. It is in set apartness that things must come to be. I want to read this passage in Romans. For many people fail to realize it states in Romans 9, chapter 9, verse 6. Romans chapter 9, verse 6. It reads, it is not as though the word of the Almighty One has failed, for they are not all Yasharal who are of Yasharal. Some translation will say they are not Israel who are. They are not all Israel who are of Israel. You see, there's set apart Hebrews and there are wicked Hebrews. If you doubt that, how do you think we got in the condition that we're in? My brothers, the building blocks of Yahusha will prove to be a phenomenal thing that we will witness as his spirit leads us into unity. As his spirit leads those who will emerge as the 144,000 in a great multitude, as well as even lead those who will face martyrdom for his name's sake. For years, man have always, well, I won't say always, for years, man has constantly fallen victim to the words that you'll be as the Almighty One and think that, okay, I got this. The book is enough. The word is enough. The text is enough. I get this. I don't need to seek to discern what the Most High Spirit is saying to me regarding identifying my tribe, who I am. Yes, my brothers and sisters, there has been many occasions where people want to build spiritually and naturally. Let me read this as one example. Jeremiah 22:13-14 say, woe to him who builds his house without righteousness and his rooms without right rulings, who uses his neighbor's service without wages and do not give him his wages, who says, I am going to build myself a wide house with spacious rooms and cut out windows for it, paneling it with cedar and painting it red. My brothers and sisters, there is the literal in Scripture, and there is the spiritual. The spiritual is as we read and engage the Spirit of the Almighty Father, we see we can discover within the literal, within the text, is endless water. We can read one passage and get something today, read it tomorrow, get something else, the next day get something else, like a fresh drink of water. And each one of these things that we get that it adds to that connects, not contradict, not conflict, connects. And I've spoken on this on many occasions. End times are indeed here, my brothers and sisters, and it brings with it the need to heighten our senses to discern what the Spirit of Yahusha is saying. Right now, there's a rise in curiosity and emotions to discover which tribe a person belongs to. The Great Awakening is bringing individuals unlearned whose emotions are ignited, undiscerning, experiencing degrees of over anxiousness, over eagerness, impatient, too quick to run with little information received. It will be wise to recognize in order for there to be an emergence of 144,000 and great multitude in unity, this requires work, structure, and visible leadership, to say the least. As I state often, it will require intermittent movement, forced migrations, of which I believe will occur during extreme humbling times that have begun in different parts of the world already and soon to hit the Western Hemisphere. In efforts to speed up the process of set-apart Yasharal's gathering, individuals have and will discover that they are overstepping the living orders and guidance from Abba Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name. Overstepping, why? Because they think that they trust in the science of DNA and say, I know I'm a Hebrew and I'm this and I'm that, and think that they're entitled to such things. Sadly mistaken. It is very important that we begin to recognize that there are those who will build both naturally and attempt to build spiritually, but are currently undisciplined. Building blocks of Yahusha must demonstrate discipline as we are led by his set-apart spirit. I've stated on many occasions that we must and will grow to recognize how to vet, how to examine things in order to minimize mistakes, in order to manage the stumblings, the falls that we will face, in order to escape the hidden agendas and egos of those who would lead one astray. It is severely important for us to realize that by seeking to discern and walk filled with the Spirit of Yahuah means walking in obedience to him. Who is the Almighty One, Yahuah? Are we not aware that as our Father, he promised to teach us, to lead us and guide us by sending his Spirit in Yahusha's name? We will grow to recognize that through his promises, discipline will prove to bring about a refinement that will allow us or take us to a point where we will be able to discern who we are and what tribe we should mention. If we, again, do not discern a specific tribe, if we are not among the ranks of the 144,000, know this: as a set-apart one of the Almighty Father, the tribe of Yasharal is the ultimate tribe. Consider Isaiah 11:12, my brothers and sisters. For many people will look at the text and be unaware. Isaiah 11:12 says, and he shall raise a banner for the nations, and gather the outcasts of Yasharal, and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. My brothers and sisters, the dispersed of Yehudah is not the only tribe. We know that from Revelation 7. But we know throughout Scripture, Yasharal has been mentioned often. We know that the ultimate nation, the ultimate banner will be the nation of Yasharal. My brothers and sisters, as we are awakening and knowing that one day there will be 144,000 with 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter, some of us will receive conviction and enlightenment and be directed to hold the banner of one of the 12 tribes that are mentioned. And others, other Hebrews, as well as Gentiles who are made one by Yahushua Mashyach, will be under the banner of Yasharal. This scientific process, many people fail to realize it touches many individuals' hands. It comes with flaws and it comes with deceit. It comes with the actions that man is trying to manipulate the set apart children of Yahuah once again by saying you'll be as him, because you can find out your DNA and you'll know who you are. Trust the Almighty Father. He will open the eyes of the blind. He will clear and unclog our ears that we hear him. My brothers and sisters, the time will come when proof regarding 144,000 will be crystal clear. Please, please, please be advised. The great multitude will consist of Hebrews and Gentiles. As I said, once the fulfillment of the 12 tribes have been made clear and known to the world, there will be one banner. That would be Yasharal. Not Israelites, Yasharal. My brothers and sisters, the building blocks of Yahusha will prove to work on us outwardly and inwardly. Let me read the following. Psalms 147, 1 and 2 say, Praise Yah, for it is good to sing praises to our Almighty One, for it is pleasant. Praise is fitting. Yahuah builds up Jerusalem. He gathers the outcasts of Yasharal. It say Yahuah builds us up. And we as his vessels, my brothers and sisters, will grow to know that he works in us, through us, one towards another, and through his chosen ones in many ways, shapes, and forms. Let me also read Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. I just read Psalms 147, 1 and 2. Psalms 147, 1 and 2. Now Ecclesiastes, 3rd chapter, verse 1 through 8. For every matter there's an appointed time, even a time for every pursuit under the heavens, and a time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. Let me pause, my brothers and sisters. A time to build up. That time is now, and we will witness the hand, the spirit, the power of the Almighty Father build up his set-apart children, build up his awakening nation, bring us together in unity, and we will see the results of the hand of he who gives us breath. Let me continue. Ecclesiastes, moving on to verse 4 through 8. I'm in the 3rd chapter. A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance, a time to throw away stones, a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to loose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for battle and a time for peace. My brothers and sisters, it would be wise for us to understand the literal scriptures, but it's equally important that we discover the spiritual side of what the voice of the Almighty Father Spirit is saying to us. Allow me to also read Amos chapter 9, verse 11 and 12. It reads as follows. Amos chapter 9, verse 11 and 12. In that day I shall raise up the booth of David, which has fallen down, and I shall repair its breaches and raise up its ruins, and I shall build it as in the days of old, so that they possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations on whom my name is called, declares Yahuah, who does this. My brothers and sisters, the booth could be said the temple, could be said the building of David. Many people believe that this is what it's saying. Could it be saying the building, the temple of Yahuah, of David, is us together as one? Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters, for the scriptures tell us that the Most High is not concerned with brick and mortar. Yes, was there a temple built in times past? It was, indeed, my brothers and sisters. It was. But let us understand the dynamics of priorities. my brothers and sisters? What takes precedent? What is he really saying to us? If we look in Acts, we will see. Let me find that passage. One in Acts is let me find it. You see, my brothers and sisters, we can see, we can touch and feel a building. We can see and touch and feel brick and mortar. Acts 7:48 says this. However, the Most High does not dwell in dwellings made with hands, as the prophet says. Are we not aware that we are his vessels? Are we not aware of the importance of the Most High using us as his house? You know, 1 Peter 4:17 talks about how judgment began at the house of the Almighty Father. How many of us are aware that it's talking about us individually and collectively? It's talking about his children. It is important that we recognize this. It is important that we recognize what is going to be restored at the hand of the Almighty Father as the building blocks of Yahusha becomes crystal clear among us. Let me continue. Let me read Matthew 16:18. It says, "And I also say to you that you are Kepha, and on this rock I shall build my assembly, and the gates of Sheol shall not overcome it." My brothers and sisters, this is the Mashyach, Yahusha, being quoted, saying he's going to build his assembly. Let us not lose focus on what's the priority. Romans 14:9, that was Matthew 16:18. Romans 14:19 says, "So then, let us pursue the matters of peace and the matters for building up one another." How many of us are aware of the details? How many of us are aware of the criteria that brings about the discipline for building one another up? And it's talking about building one another up and set apartness. Do the body say to the hand, "I have no need of it"? Does the hand say to the kidney, "I have no need of you"? Do the heart say to the foot, "There is no need for a foot"? Or does the foot say there is no need for a heart? Now take those natural parts of the body that I mentioned and think about the many components of the spiritual body of Yasharal. We need one another. Let me also read Ephesians 2:19-22. It says, "So then you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens of the set apart ones and members of the household of the Almighty One, having been built upon the foundations of the emissaries and prophets, Yahushua Messiah himself being chief cornerstone, in whom all the building being joined together grows into a set apart dwelling place in Yahuah, in whom you also are being built together into a dwelling of the Almighty One in the Spirit." The building blocks of Yahusha, my brothers and sisters. Let us understand the need, for soon and very soon, we must come away from the distraction of trying to pursue and grab hold and latch on to scientific DNA. Ephesians 4:1 talks about the many different gifts and callings, my brothers and sisters. And it talks about the building up of the body, the 4th chapter of Ephesians. Let us understand that as Yasharal come together in these end times, the body will be built up. We will come together in unity. There will be extreme humbling times that will bring about the discipline, that will bring about a result of many of us facing reproof, repenting, knowing the power of the blood of the Mashyach, Yahusha, and rising up, being renewed by his set-apart spirit, cleansed and washed by his word. My brothers and sisters, know this. The plan of the Almighty Father comes with structure and leadership. In order to make visible the chosen leaders, as well as structure for the emerging awakening nation, Yasharal will face discipline. It will be wise to recognize the need for knowing how to test, to vet, to examine the things before us correctly and with accuracy. It will be wise to grow to learn how to trust. We will find, my brothers and sisters, when someone moves away from the connectivity of the scriptures as they are brought alive, then this is where a person may have stumbled and fallen. So as we study, as we pray, let us ask, how can this be? Can this be where it keeps the scriptures together? If there's no way we can see how it keeps the scriptures, the various different interpretations that we get, if they cannot join hand in hand, if they conflict, someone is wrong. Wickedness has seeped in. To compromise would be wrong. To say let's agree to disagree would be wicked. To say let's place the matter before the Father and seek His Spirit to make clear who is right and what is correct would be the correct thing to do. Oftentimes, my brothers and sisters, the best recourse is to step away from one another when we are divided in understanding the teachings of the Most High. Step away and give some space with prayer and seek to discern what is right. And if and only if we are brought into restoration, into unity, then it is better to not be in a compromising situation. The building blocks of Yahusha is not about duct tape. It's not about man-made glues or adhesives. It is about the power and might of the Almighty Father. Soon and very soon, during extreme humbling times, we will witness the coming together of a chosen people, with all doubts withering away. Rise up, O set-apart chosen people. Our time demands precise actions as we discover being led by the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name. All obstacles will be removed that tend or attempt to prevent the 144,000 and great multitude from coming together in unity. The time is now to choose between believing and trusting Abba Yahuah regarding building blocks of Yahusha versus the time consumed talking about, looking at movies, videos, going into forums, being seduced by the conversation of DNA. DNA is a biological and scientific process, identity of the makeup of one's body. But again, as I said, to send and give anyone your DNA to say which tribe you're from is putting your trust in the hands of the many hands of those who will pass your specimen through the scientific hoops and hurdles before you get a verdict rendered. Be not deceived. Time is of the importance, my brothers and sisters. Many of you have probably heard me read where it talks about walking wisdom. In Colossians 4:5, walk in wisdom towards those who are outside, redeeming the time. We will get to the point where we will value a minute. We will value the things that strengthen us so that we can get through a minute, a day, a week, or the coming days ahead. Be encouraged, O set apart Yasharal. Our redemption draws near. There is much more ahead of us than behind us. Believe it. Trust the words and promises of the Almighty Father Yahuah. Know that the building blocks of Yahusha will indeed emerge crystal clear among those who are called, among those who will rise up from the four corners of the earth. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, I invite you, let us communicate with one another. Ask questions, make comments, but if and only if you believe you are being led to do so. Time is a valuable thing. Let us not spend it in unfruitful debate and unwise chatter, but let us discern what true iron sharpening iron means. People of like mind, like spirit, sharpening one another as the Spirit of Yahusha works in us one towards another. As I continue to press forward, O Yasharal, it is my belief, I am compelled to believe, that we are the end time generation and that the building blocks of Yahusha will prove to have every specific detail that is necessary with living instructions to fulfill what is promised. Until next time, O set apart family, until next time, my brother, my sister, I bid you Shalum.